Okay. It says we're live. I think it's actually live. Yeah, it's been a fun morning so far. Alright. Oh, let's see what the phone says. Phone say I'm live. No barks. Let's see. Yep, phone says we're live. Okay, cool. Yes, I am here. So, yeah, we had today started out with a call from a friend, or not a phone call, but they hit me up and was like, I need to make an emergency vet visit. Can I use your cattle trailer? Obvious answer is okay. So I had to get that dealt with, and then I came down here to start the live stream. And of course, my computer wasn't plugged in, so it was dead. You can come out if you're going to be good. And as soon as I start talking, the dog starts yipping, so we'll let her out. She might get thrown back inside. Anyway, yeah, it's been a week. Oh, so let's take a quick look at the comments. I have not collected my thoughts for this at all. So yeah, I kind of shorthanded a couple of notes on what happened this week, but that's literally like 2 minutes worth of thought as to what I was going to talk about today. But anyway, move the camera. Move the camera where? Shorthand instructions. But oh, I have a feeling autocorrect is involved with some of Nicole's comments. All right. So, yeah, the last week has been one of those days, like pretty much every day. So it's been busy. I'm still tired. But I guess it was sometime around last Friday we had, like, the sheep have figured out how to get at the dog food, and they kind of damaged the shed that the dogs have so that the sheep can get at it a little bit more. And so that threw the dogs into a whatever, and one of them started getting out, and that's been a problem for days. So I think it was Sunday or Monday. Dog got out. I can't even remember, the days are running together. Couldn't get the dog to do anything. Finally got him, with the help of one of the neighbors, to go to the barn, got him into the barn. So he wound up getting locked in the barn for like 3 days. So made sure he had plenty of access to food and water, and the barn was locked up nice and tight, so he couldn't actually get out. So yesterday took him back up. He was really excited to get out of the barn, and I'm not sure if that was just because he'd been cooped up for 3 days, or because I also had 2 chickens on the back of the 4-wheeler. Either way, he was more than happy to run up the hill following the 4-wheeler and then went straight back into the paddock. So I ran a little bit of extra fencing just to kind of make it through the next couple of days, and hopefully he's going to stay in. But that's been a fiasco that's been ongoing for a week. And then I think we mentioned last week that we were looking at having, somebody come in to drop some trees. And so there was some prep work that needed to happen with that because there's some stuff that I would prefer trees not fall on, like, the rabbits and a bunch of other stuff that was in that area. And so Saturday and Sunday was just a straight slog to get everything moved. And that required getting, you know, something set up to be able to move rabbits. So I wound up, I think it was, might have been Friday, could have been Saturday, I don't know. At some point, I went to Tractor Supply and picked up 2 rabbit cages. And all they had were these kits. And it's like, I don't need a kit, I just need the cage. Whatever, it's all I got, so that's what I got. And a little kit comes with these legs and some brackets and a tray that goes underneath it. It's like, I don't need any of that. And got to looking at it and I was like, I wonder, take that leg and flip it upside down. Will it still bolt up? And it did. So I wound up flipping the legs upside down and used that to screw into the frame for an actual rabbit tractor. So that got 2 of the 5 rabbits moved. And then we have this old rabbit tower that a friend of ours dropped off a while ago. And we've used it a couple of times to like quarantine an animal for a night or something when, the main quarantine area was occupied. But we've never really used it, so I pressure washed that whole thing, got it set back up. Nicole went to Tractor Supply and got a couple of rabbit waters. So got 3 of the rabbits set up in there, and that got all 5 of them moved. So make it all the way to, Sunday evening. I've got everything moved. I'm already tired. And then I think it was, Monday. Had to take Nicole to the airport. Tree guy was supposed to be here at like first thing, whatever that means. So 7, 8, like that's, I think, normal people's first thing. Like me, that can vary from like 5 o'clock in the morning to like 9, depending on what we're talking about. But anyway, go to take her to the airport, and Tree guy's not here. So I come back and I see a ladder propped up against one of the trees, and I'm like, hopefully that's the tree guy. Otherwise, we might be getting into a fight. Turned out, yep, this is the tree guy. So he had been here for about an hour. It took him a little while to get set up. And like, I had no idea what this dude was planning on doing to drop these trees, because like there was one hackberry that was split, like, it comes up and it wide, and right where the Y is, it basically just split the tree in half down the middle. And the half leaning towards the road got taken down, but the other half was tall enough that it could hit the solar panels on the roof of the cabin, which that was kind of the emphasis to get somebody that actually kind of knows what they're doing to come out here and drop this. So he ends up, like, I have no idea, bringing a cherry picker, like, I don't know what the dude's planning on doing, but he shows up in like a Chevy 1500 with a bunch of stuff in the back. And I come walking up, and he's got a set of spikes strapped to his legs, and he's basically scaling the trees. And I did not put my phone in silent. Apparently, I have a package arriving today. or something. Just mute that. But anyway, so he's actually scaling this tree and starting to take limbs off. And so he was here for a couple of hours and got most of the stuff down towards the pond dropped. And then the next day he came back and was here for most of the day and got everything else down by the pond dropped, and then shifted to the chestnut tree by the cabin, which was an interesting one because that one had been pruned before. And so, that one came up and branched out, and then each one of those branches had multiple branches coming off of it. And those branches could be anywhere from, 3 to 6 inches in diameter. So it's like, I don't even know what he's going to do with this one. And he got on the roof of the cabin and just started dropping some of the smaller stuff. And then once he had it all cleared, it's like, I think I can just shoot the gap in between here and here. And so he started cutting on it, and he was going to put some wedges in there, but apparently the tree decided to go, and so he just cut it a little bit more, and it went right where he wanted it to. So that one ended up on the ground, and then the other box elder was an entertaining mess of multiple Ys and everything interlocking, and he wound up dropping that one a little bit lower than we wanted to, but it was kind of like, let's just do what you got to do, but don't hit any of the buildings. And he managed to not hit any of the buildings. So that tree got taken down and dropped across the driveway. And so by the time this whole thing was said and done, by the end of Tuesday, I had a little footpath that I had cut going in between the cabin and the house. And it, of course, went straight up the steepest part of the hill in between the house and the cabin, which is probably like a 65, 70 degree slope. I'm like, this ain't going to fly for very long because I got to be able to get back and forth, and trying to traverse that hill, especially at night, is not fun. So Wednesday was just an all out slog in the heat to just start getting stuff into piles. And so basically what I was doing was de-limbing stuff, trying to not cut the main trunk so that they stayed up off the ground, so that they weren't falling on the smaller stuff, getting the smaller limbs out and into piles. And then Nighthawk came over with the chainsaw, and between some of the stuff I cut up, and then he's been bucking up the rest of it, we've almost got all of the firewood into actual piles. There's a little bit left that still needs to get bucked up, but at least they're in piles, and then we can get the piles converted into more of a stack and then worry about splitting it later. And then at some point, I was hoping this weekend to be able to rent a wood chipper and just get all of this stuff chipped up. But the way this week is gone, it's like, no. It's been low to mid 90s most of the week, and Saturday, Sunday, it's supposed to be 100. So it does not sound fun to do that in the first place, much less I'm still tired. Like yesterday, I was pretty much just like, I'm going to do what I have to do and pick at stuff here and there, but mostly take it easy. Went to town yesterday, picked up a couple of things, just kind of relaxed. And I got up today. It was like, hopefully, feel a little bit more refreshed. And I'm like, I still feel like yesterday was leg day at the gym. Like, literally walking from the house or from the cabin up to the house is tiring. Like, I just feel it in my legs. So, like, yeah, I've got a feeling today is going to be another little bit of a light day. But anyway, that's kind of the summary of kind of what happened over the course of the week. But a couple of other notes was, I did find some mushrooms. I think Nicole said that they were oysters. They were a little past their prime, but it's like, okay, that's the spot where they're at is like the main access point to get into the pasture. So it's like, now that I know to watch for that, it's nothing more than just swinging a little further to the right when I go into the pasture and looking down to check that spot. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. And then she's got a bunch of stuff up in the garden. We did manage to get shade cloth up in the garden. Got the sprinkler going because we haven't gotten rain. Well, we got one little bit of a rain a couple of days ago for like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. But it was enough to get the ground wet, but not really enough to like water everything in. So I've been running the sprinkler when I can remember to do it. And then she had also gotten some of these mechanical timers from somewhere. And it's the type that it's almost like an egg timer. If you know what an egg timer is, where you just turn a little dial and you can kind of hear it clicking. And so you can't, preset those to like go off at a certain time, but it's one of those things that I can walk up there in the morning or in the evening and just turn it to 45 minutes and the sprinkler will run for 45 minutes. And I don't have to remember to go back and turn it off. So that's a nice little adjunct because we had two of the programmable ones. I'm not sure whether the one is working or not. The other one was completely trashed when I pulled it out. So that one just went straight into the dumpster. But we've learned to wake up at 4:30, start at sunrise, come in before noon and rest, sleep. And afternoon, yeah. There's actually an interesting story. You can probably find, a documentary of it on YouTube or something where Ford, like, Mr. Ford, was going to start his own rubber plant in South America. And it was going to be a company town. And they got it up and running, and it failed massively because they tried to run it like you would run a factory in the US. And of course, it's hot down there. So all of the locals that they were trying to employ were like, no, bro, that's not what you do down here. You get up in the morning, you do some work, and then in the evening or in the afternoon, when it's hot, you go back and chill, have lunch, hang out with the family, siesta, like AJ is saying, siesta shift. Yeah, it's siesta shift. You go chill, and then in the evening, you go back to work again. And apparently there's a mouse because the dog just straight up tore into a pile of bins. So, yeah, that's what happens. That's why it's not smart if you're a mouse to come over here. You should go find somewhere else to be. But anyway, so yeah, that's basically what I've been trying to do the last couple of days. So yesterday I did get up, and before the temperature started cranking up, I got a couple of sections kind of bucked up and some stuff drug out of the way. And then once the temperature started coming up, it's like, yeah, time to transition to something else. So today the plan is to get off of here, and the heat's already cranking up. I got a little bit done this morning, so after I get off of here, got some inside stuff that needs to be done, catch up on dishes, so forth and so on. So that's kind of the plan there. And then I think the only other thing that I had in my notes that I spent like a whole 2 minutes typing up was Korean beef, not made with beef. So for dinner last night, I kind of ate a late lunch, so I wasn't starving at normal dinner time. So I wound up just making dinner a little bit late. So I had sunset to deal with, animals and getting Miles back up into the paddock and all that kind of thing, and plenty of buffer room there. So there was a container of ground pork. And just out of curiosity, this container was like stuffed to the brim. Just out of curiosity, I threw it on the kitchen scale because I have one just sitting there. And it was a full 2 pounds of ground pork. And it sounds like somebody's coming up the driveway. Dog just let out after something, so if she starts losing her mind, I don't know, I need to go check it out. But anyway, the full 2 pounds, so I diced up a little bit of onion and jalapeno and like got the beef mostly cooked, threw salt, pepper, garlic, and a little bit of cayenne in there. And then I did not have enough Korean barbecue sauce to do this with that much meat. So what I wound up doing was dumping in every bit of sauce that I had. Started up, cranked the temp down as low as it would go, put the lid on, and went up to feed dogs, came back down, got a bottle of water, fed my dog, came outside for a few minutes. Periodically, walk by the stove, take the lid off, stir it up, and it's still simmering basically. And so basically all it did by putting the lid on is I basically steamed slash fumigated. Is that a proper cooking term? I fumigated my pork with barbecue sauce. Sounds legit. But anyway, let that go for a little bit and then just turn the heat off, and it was actually cool enough to just drop on a plate and start eating. So yeah, I did siesta growing up here. Yeah, siestas are legit. It's a good idea. When I had job assignments in Mexico, it was required to take a siesta after lunch. Those projects were awesome. Yeah, I'm sure that that was required for a reason. And Pack Rat says Nicole also had managing alone and Miles on her list. Yeah, I mean, managing alone, it's like, what's that? It's that old saying in boxing, everybody's got a plan until they get hit. Military, plans are good up until first contact. Everything after that's frag orders. You know, so trying to plan the week out, it's like that can only go so far. But it is, I mean, I think it's also scale is part of that equation too. Like, I mean, if all you've got is chickens and maybe a dog, you know, running a homestead by yourself is a little bit of an issue, but not as much. Yeah, no plan survives initial contact with the enemy. Murphy's Law. That's another. If you've never looked up Murphy, like the actual where all that came from, you should look that up. I think there's a documentary on that. I can't remember where I saw that, but that's a good one too. Hi, Carrie. Plans are more guidelines. Yeah. And that's kind of the thing. Like when you Murphy, a test pilot, yes, he was. You know, when you've got sheep and ducks and chickens and rabbits and well, technically 3 sets of dogs and cats and goats. Like, I feel like, you know, Patrick Warman trying to remember all of his kids' names. You know, you forgot an animal somewhere. You know, it's like you kind of have. I try to stay with at least my morning and evening routines. Like, those are fairly just muscle memory. The problem with that can be like, did I actually complete that? Because I can just do it automatically as I'm walking by. Like, did I actually feed the dog this morning? I can't remember. But aside from that, it's like, you know, a lot of times, depending on the lead up to Nicole being gone, a lot of times the first 2 or 3 days, you know, maybe I can kind of make some forward progress on some stuff. But like at this point, now I'm kind of settling into I just got to keep up with everything until she gets back and I get the extra support back. It's raining here. I have to dump the turkey. Nesting in the wide open. At least you're getting a rain. I would love rain. Like, even if it makes my life substantially more miserable, I would take like a good hour, 5 hours, 3 days of just rain. On a homestead, it depends on how automated your systems are and how often you have to touch a system. Yes. And we had an event here, I think it was at one of the workshops, and somebody was like saying they were impressed at how much automation we have here. And I'm like, we don't have any automation here. And realized, oh, when you tell me as a mechanic automation, I'm thinking computerized. And yes, we have automated a lot of stuff. And I also try to hold to the philosophy that I want my required interactions with the animals to be kept to an absolute minimum. Like, as little as possible. That doesn't mean I don't spend time with the animals. That just means that all of the additional time that I do spend with the animals is because I want to, not because I have to. So, yes, I do go up. I probably later today, I'm probably going to go up to the pasture and just go hang out with the sheep just because. Not because I have to do anything. I mean, I do have to do stuff up there, but I probably will just go up there and just hang out with them just because I can. I mean, that's half the point of living like this, is to be able to go enjoy hanging out with your animals. And the dog's sitting right there. She's not off barking at something right now. So, yeah, automating whatever you can. And so, I mean, right now we've got 5 rabbits on those stupid little 1 quart like waters, and I hate those things because I gotta check them constantly. So as soon as physically possible, I'm getting a 5-gallon water system spooled back up for them, because then I can only have to top it off like every couple of days. Like in the wintertime when it's not hot as balls, I might only have to top their water up like every 4 or 5 days. That doesn't mean I don't go hang out with the rabbits, go check on them, say hello, how you doing. Like, I still check them every single day. I still check their water every single day, but all it requires for most days is just looking in there and being like, yep, they still got water. So that is a very legit point. So rain started, yes, first rain in months. Ooh. So you're probably enjoying the rain too, which works out because you found out irrigation company supply with the wrong size pipe. That's always fun. Currently an 8-inch was supposed to be 2. Currently an 8-inch we're only supposed to have 2. Huh. That's important to see how animal are restful. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I think that's all that I really have at this point. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, because I mean, I've been kind of hyper focused the last couple of days on some specific stuff, and then trying to nitpick at, oh, that is another thing, nitpicking at other stuff. So as part of the whole, like, propagating, getting somebody to come in and take these trees out and everything, we had the conversation with Nicole about moving the garden to out in front of the house where she goes more often. And we're talking about putting some raised beds in. So we actually ordered, there was a sale this weekend for like Father's Day or something. So we ordered 3 of them. And so I pulled one out of the box yesterday and was just kind of nitpicking at it. Open it up, look at everything. I got one side with the 2 corner pieces put together. So that's another thing that I'm going to start nitpicking at. And, one of those things, I'm going to go sit there and have a cup of coffee and, screw a couple of sides together on these things. And then once I get, at least one of them put together, kind of drag it over there and get an actual feel for what that's going to kind of look like over there. And then the goal being, if I get all 3 of them put together, then I can actually, set 3 of them up where they're going to go, kind of measure, feel it out. Is that going to be enough room? Like, how am I going to feel if I got to go swing a weed eater in between these things back and forth? Like, is this actually enough room? I can actually take the weed eater and walk in between them. And then we can mark out where they're going to go. And since it's on the side of a hill, it's not a steep hill, but it is on a hill, I'm hoping to be able to dig down a little bit to get the beds to sit level. And then, once, we kind of get that part done, then we can order the rest of the beds, because I think we'll probably wind up putting like 9 of them over there or something. So once we get, those 3 set up and over there, we can kind of get a feel for it, mark out where we want, and then once we're ready, we can start, we can order the rest of them, once we have a hard number on how many we want, get those set up in place, and then we can start working on filling them and go from there. And hopefully, I'm sure we will probably wind up doing a little bit of composting in place with those, and then have them ready for next spring. So that's another thing that I am kind of nitpicking at. But anyway, I think that's about all I've got. The temperature out here is definitely starting to crank up, so I'm going to get off of here and go see if there is something productive I can still get done today. So hopefully next week, I think the schedule might be back to normal for this. We'll see. Anyway, till next time, guys. Bye.